Welcome to Social Civics, a channel where we break down the ideas, systems, and institutions that shape our civic life. Today, we're going to talk about a word you hear all the time, authoritarianism. It gets thrown around a lot in political discussions, but what does it actually mean? Let's find out.
And that's really the key question, isn't it? Because authoritarianism isn't just some political buzzword. It describes a very real, very specific way that power can be organized in a country. And, understanding it is absolutely crucial if you want to make sense of governments around the world, both now and in the past.
So, to really get to the heart of it, let's start with the formal, kind of textbook definition. And then, right after, we'll break down what all that academic language actually means in simple, everyday terms.
Okay, I know, that's a mouthful, so let's chop it up. That first part, rejection of political plurality, that just means limiting or getting rid of different political parties. Strong central power is pretty straightforward. It's about one leader or a small group holding all the cards. And reductions in democracy, well, that's about chipping away at things like free elections and our basic individual freedoms.
So, to put it even more simply, this is what it all boils down to. Power is in the hands of a few. Different viewpoints and political choices are pushed to the side, and individual freedoms, they take a back seat. Because the main goal, the top priority, isn't really about serving the people, it's about keeping the current leadership in power. In this kind of system, your obedience is way more important than your freedom.
All right, so that covers the what. But what about the how? I mean, how do these systems actually get power and then, more importantly, hang on to it? Well, it turns out there are some common strategies that pop up over and over again. You can almost think of it as a kind of playbook. First, they centralize power, getting rid of checks and balances, like independent courts, and putting their own loyalists in all the key positions. Second, they control information. This is huge. They take over the media to push their own story and silence anyone who disagrees. Third, they often claim to speak for the real people against some corrupt elite. Fourth, they create enemies or exaggerate threats. They'll find a scapegoat to blame for the country's problems, which creates fear and justifies their tight grip on power. And finally, you'll often hear a promise to return to some mythical great past to stir up national pride and support.
Okay, now here is a really important distinction to make. The word authoritarianism often gets confused with another term, totalitarianism. And while they're definitely related, they are not the same thing. Let's break down the difference.
This quote from Mussolini, wow. It just perfectly captures what totalitarianism is all about. It's this vision where the state is absolutely everything, and every single person exists only to serve that state. The key idea here, and the thing that makes it different, is the scope of that control. And here is the bottom line. An authoritarian government wants to control politics. It wants you to stay quiet, stay out of its way, and just obey. A totalitarian government, on the other hand, wants to control everything. We're talking your job, your family, what you believe, even what you think in private. It's not just about power, it's about completely reshaping society and even human nature itself.
This chart lays it all out really clearly. Look at that top row on ideology. Totalitarian systems have a huge, guiding belief, like communism or fascism, that explains everything they do. Authoritarian systems, often not so much. Their main goal is just staying in power. And now look at the role of the citizen. This is fascinating. Totalitarianism wants you in the streets, cheering, waving flags. It demands your active, enthusiastic support. Authoritarianism, well, it's often happy if you just stay home and don't cause any trouble. You don't have to be a true believer, you just have to be obedient. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground here. The basic definition, the playbook, and that really crucial distinction. So let's just wrap it all up with the main takeaway.
So if you remember just one thing, make it this. Authoritarianism is all about controlling the political sphere. It focuses power in one place and shuts down the opposition, all to keep things as they are. And while it definitely cuts back on your freedoms, it's still very different from totalitarianism, which is a whole other level of control that tries to take over every single aspect of your life.
And all of this leaves us with one final, pretty heavy question. If these systems are so bad for personal freedom, why do people sometimes go along with them, or even support them? Well, it's complicated. In times of chaos or great uncertainty, the promise of security, of stability, of a strong leader making things great again, that can sound pretty good to a lot of people. It's a complex trade-off, and it makes you think about what people are sometimes willing to give up in exchange for a sense of order. If you found this explainer helpful and want to learn more about the ideas and institutions that shape our civic life, please consider subscribing to Social Civics.
This channel exists just to help everyday citizens like us better understand the systems we all live under. Thanks for watching.